Hey, I'm Greg Barbosa. Let's dive right on in. Hey.com is a new email service and provider that tries to rethink the way we use email. If you've used anything like Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook over the past few years, you've noticed that they've implemented things like folders and labels and filters to make managing your email easier. But all these services kind of struggle because we're trying to hack these different systems on top of one another to make email work for us instead of having just a better email system to begin with. And Hey.com is a new provider that tries to change things up a little bit in the way that it builds out this whole platform. I haven't used it yet. I got an invitation code, signed up, and then stopped at the onboarding screen. So what we're gonna do is walk through the process together, and I'm just gonna share initial first impressions. I'm not gonna do a deep dive review unless that's something you want. If you do, let me know in the comments below. Let's see if Hey.com can replace my personal email. All right, Hey.com wants to open my email links. Nice that they're asked, but I will deny that. I don't really like that. Okay, cool. Getting started with Hey. Hey, Greg Barbosa, thanks for signing up for Hey. As a reminder, here's your new email. It works. Ask a friend to email you. This is cool. So they have native Hey apps. They already got apps for iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, and Linux, which is pretty cool. I like the versatility, even though I'm much more of a web guy for my email constantly. I have email on my phone just through the general mail app, but I've turned off all notifications just because I don't want to be inundated with all that stuff. All right, let's get oriented. Screener, just a quick reminder that before anyone can land in your inbox, you have to screen them in or out if you don't want their emails. I've heard a little bit about this and I actually like this idea a lot. It's this idea that the first time people send you an email, you have to basically approve it. But Screener is pretty cool because it's a nice way to automatically limit potential junk mail or spam that's coming in immediately that you haven't even approved. Okay, we're already moving into this weird spot. Inbox. I don't like calling it inbox. It's a branding thing. I get it. Inbox is basically your important box where all your important stuff comes in. But inbox, it just doesn't feel right. The first thing I'll say too, like I'm looking basically at the email interface. It doesn't look like email. It looks like I'm using a web app for like a social media app or like a business app, which I kind of like, kind of don't. I think the struggle is when I jump into email, I'm coming in, knocking out these messages and then moving on and moving away. This app is so nicely designed from first glance that it almost looks like it wants me to spend more time in it, and that's the last thing I want to do. But I can already tell that there's keyboard shortcuts configured and set up in here. And if that's the case, it means that I can most likely do what I do with Gmail, log into Gmail, hit a couple keyboard shortcuts, and automatically manage my emails for the day. The reply later and set aside are interesting. The reply later idea is just like what it sounds like. If you can't reply now but want to reply later, add it to the reply later area. The set aside is something that you kind of just want to mark as a reference that you're going to come back to later. It's kind of like pinning an email. I don't know how I feel about that. I can't think of a situation where I've ever had to pin an email. The majority of the time when I work with clients and I get emails for different jobs, I'll automatically throw it into a label and folder set aside for that client. If I need to refer to it, I jump right back into there. But I almost always try to keep my inbox at inbox 0 because I don't want anything there unless it's something critical that I haven't replied to or haven't worked on yet. So as I'm going through this, I'm already understanding and realizing that this is gonna make me rethink the way I manage my email. And this is a whole different idea on the concepts of email. So I'm gonna be open to that. I don't really know how I feel about it right now, but I'm gonna keep my eyes open and my thoughts open to it and just see how I feel through the whole process. This is the first email. There's a couple more that they've sent, so I'll dive into that. But before I do that, I wanna bring back attention to the keyboard shortcuts that are down here. Like, I like how there's a reply all, reply later, set aside, and more. And these are all within easy access areas. If you keep your fingers on the home row, I can hit RLAM very quickly, so I can just knock out emails. Let me click more and see what else is there. Send push notifications, that's pretty cool. I've seen this before and I've seen some people comment about it. you're not automatically gonna get push notifications for an email unless you explicitly ask for it. I love that because there are plenty of times where I am working on a client project, and for the sake of the whole experience, I have to set the client as like a VIP or important person in whatever app I'm using to make sure I get every notification. But sometimes that same client is sending me stuff that's not important at all. It's just other mundane emails. Being able to turn on the push notifications per thread is gonna be beautiful. I'm gonna love that. Ignore this thread. I don't really use that. I would have loved to have that when I was back at my old tech company, because I would get thrown onto a bunch of reply all threads that I just never wanted to be a part of. These other ones are pretty cool. Forward, label, move, trash. I do like that the label option is still there, so I'm gonna be able to use labeling like I do with my current Gmail system. And I have to keep reminding myself right now, I'm looking at using Hey as my personal replacement service right now, but maybe I could use it with my business email too. So I'm gonna keep reading and seeing what else we got here. Actually, this is pretty cool, the keyboard shortcuts. I can use 1 through 6 to navigate through the main folder structures that are within Hey, just from my keyboard, which I love. I love keyboard shortcuts. And I love that I can go to the next and previous results by just using the arrows. I'm kind of used to using the J and K from Gmail, and if you ever used Final Cut with shuttle editing, or if you've ever worked in Vim for your programming, you may use JKHL to navigate through things, and there's some of that already in Gmail that I'm used to. All in all, new keyboard shortcuts I gotta learn, but I'm very happy that they're there because that is like the #1 thing I'm concerned with when I work with email. How quickly can I navigate through everything? And I know when I have keyboard shortcuts, I can knock it out crazy fast. All right, let's go back into reading the other emails and see what we got. This is pretty cool. It gives you a walkthrough on how to forward email from your old service providers to hey.com. I gotta say, I gotta give big kudos to Hey for using their app to teach you on how to use the app. A lot of companies do this, but not everybody does this very well. I love that I'm going through my inbox right now to see what's in there. And as I'm going through it, I'm learning how to use the app. At the bottom of this email here, it tells me to set aside to save this email for easy access whenever. I normally wouldn't set something aside, but in this case, I will, because I absolutely would like to read that later on to remind myself to forward those emails over. Okay, I'm in another email now, but this idea just popped up. I like that the UI for the app, for the service, is significantly different from the reading area. Let me show you what I mean. When I open the Hey menu at the top of the screen with Command J, it's blue, and the contrast is so intense that I can visibly tell that it's different than the content below it. One of the issues I have with Gmail is that sometimes when I'm not wearing my glasses, like right now or early in the morning, when I'm flying through emails, I'll open up label menus, and because the label menus are the same color as the rest of the UI, everything kind of blends in together. By having this clear, distinct contrast, it makes referential points of navigating through the UI a little bit easier, at least in my head. And I know for people who are hard of seeing, this might actually be something to benefit them as well. And I'll also add on to this. I know that the team behind this that built Basecamp has spent 2 years building this out. And it seems like with good reason, because it looks like when you're gonna compete within any big email provider, especially companies that are giving away free email addresses, you need to make sure that you have everything they have and then some. You can't only accept email and call yourself a new email provider. You have to accept email, be able to do filters, move content around, but then something that differentiates you from the competition. I like what Hey's doing right now so far. We're gonna keep diving in. Okay, this is where Hey is explaining the different types of boxes you have within hey.com and what they mean. The inbox is where your important content you wanna read is. The feed is where you're putting like newsletters and different zines that maybe you're reading. They say promotional emails. I don't subscribe to them, but people may use them. So that all goes into the feed, which is kind of a creative name. It reminds me of old RSS feed readers. So if you're old enough to remember that. Paper Trail is pretty cool. Paper trail is transactional email clutter. I really like that they called it transactional because that's really what it is. I have so many different bills or services or things I buy online that I've created an incredible amount of filters to properly filter them out, and they're still getting missed. But this is really nice to have a nice, easy place to put all that stuff into the paper trail. And now this makes me think, how good is Hey.com search functionality? One of the reasons I don't like using desktop apps for my mail is because so many are janky in the search features. If you use Mac OS and you use the Mail app, I like the Mail app, clean, straightforward, I get what I want done, but I absolutely hate it for searching through emails because it will constantly miss emails that I have in my inbox that were recently emailed. I'm hoping that Hey.com has a really good search functionality. I'm gonna have to be putting more emails into it to see, but we'll find out. Here's another cool distinction I like. You can manually move emails from the inbox to the feed to the paper trail, or you can automatically move it based on the contact. I think that's important because sometimes I'll be getting emails from a provider, let's say my backup service, and they'll be sending me newsletters that I'll read, but they'll also send me bills and receipts. So the bills and receipts, I'll want to move manually into the paper trail, and the newsletters I'll move into the feed. So that's a nice way to go ahead and manage that. Instead of just creating automatic other things like filters and labels, it seems to do it for you. I like that a lot. This is pretty cool. Reply later. Reply later is as simple as it sounds. You're gonna mark these emails as reply later, and it'll create a little stack of emails that you can go ahead and reply through later on. One of the annoying things I have when I'm working on client work, sometimes I'll filter my email inbox to only show emails from that client that are in my inbox because I want to knock out back to back to back replying to those emails. But with this reply later feature, I could technically just click on all those emails I need to reply to, archive the rest, and then go into this focus and reply mode and just reply to a bunch of emails back to back in a really clean, fluid system. I love that. I can already start to think of different ways that I would use that with my business. Yeah, like I'm talking about client work, even though I started looking at this from a personal perspective, but there are emails that I want to set aside so that I can open up and read, and there are emails that I want to reply later, all within the same client experience. So it'd be cool to have some emails from the client set aside for reference, and then some emails for a client set aside for reply later. But because it's all built into Hey, I can just kind of tag them with those little features and then pop them up and go into their respective UIs and reply to them. Now I'm starting to see the benefit of having something like set aside and reply later. For example, sometimes I'll send a client an email 6 months ago that has a bit of information that they need, so it's more of reference data. I could find that email, set it aside, and then find the emails I need to reply to and throw them into the reply later stack. And then I can look at the set aside emails and look at the reply later stack and just kind of cross-reference while replying to everything. The question I do have is, can I open the set aside stack while looking at the focus and reply interface? I'm gonna set this email to reply later so we can test this feature out. So it looks like when you have the reply later, at the bottom left, those are the reply later emails. At the bottom right is a little pin for the set aside emails. I wonder what the UI looks like when you have a ton of emails and you have those things stacked at the bottom, if it gets distracting at all. Okay, this is pretty cool too. There's a contact page functionality built in that's a little bit easier. I can tell you I've never been a fan of Gmail's contact page functionality. Sometimes I just want to jump into that contact, see what we've sent back and forth, and look at all the files so I can easily pull things out. Every time I've looked for it, I've seen like crazy third-party extensions, which I don't feel comfortable giving access to my email because I don't know what they're doing with the data or what they're doing with the access. This is cool having this built in with Hey. It looks like from here on the contact page, I can see the contact's details. I can see where they're sending messages to. I can turn on notifications manually just for that person. And for this example, I will. And I can even automatically set it to file those emails into a certain location with a label. So I would do that with my contacts, with my business contacts. pretty cool. I'll turn on notifications and go back to the inbox. Probably the biggest question I have is, can I delete emails? Can I archive them? Because I jump into here and the inbox says nothing new for you, which is cool. Yeah, there's no new emails. But what about the emails I've already looked at? The ones that in my head I've already processed mentally and I don't need any longer. Can I move it away from the inbox? Or is it always gonna be in previously seen? I don't like that UI at the bottom there. Forward. Let's dive in a little bit more then while we're thinking through this. Send push, ignore this thread. Add note. I can trash, I can move it. All right, I'm gonna give a label and see. I created a label. I see the label up at the top of the site. When I go back to inbox, I can see the label it has. Yeah, there's no obvious way I'm seeing that I can move emails outside of inbox into another space. I know they basically say they don't really care about inbox 0, but for the way my mental energies work, I like having things outside of my inbox, because having an inbox 0 for me means that I don't have anything I have to act on. If it's in my inbox, I have to act on it. That's probably why they use a different terminology instead of inbox here, because this is more of an idea of focusing on this content. Let's dig into the settings. I like this. So here's the feed. Oh, this is cool. I like these empty state UIs. Get newsletters, marketing emails, stuff you want to read. Add them to the feed, casually scroll. That's cool. Paper trail, been getting receipts. Don't need to just pop them in the paper trail. That's cool. What's 4? 4 takes me to focus and reply. Focus and reply, honestly, I'm probably gonna use that the most. I love this idea so much. From the set aside email UI, I can already tell that you're taking some inspiration from Basecamp and the way Basecamp handles its information. I've never had a problem with that. I just never was attracted to that UI all that much. I don't like looking at my email as like stacks of cards or playing cards. I like to look at them as just line items, but again, new UI, new experience, new way to email. All files, this is pretty cool. All files, just literally seeing all the attachments you've received, something I could have used so many times in my life. All right, so I've gone through all the navigation. S is for search. I'm gonna search for hey.com. Cool, it pulls up contacts. What about emails? Oh, weird, if I type hey.com, emails from the contact doesn't come up. But if I type hey, it does. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so that's H. Let's see this hey menu. I can go to inbox, feed, paper trail, labels. Oh, this labels thing might be tricky because I use a lot of labels, and that's probably on me. I should use less, but I use a lot of labels, and I wonder how long this would get. Other stuff. I like how screened out is a thumbs down. It's a very intense, these people aren't getting in unless you've given them permission. And the fact that it automatically deletes after 90 days, it's intense. I'm kind of here for it. What else we got? Spam. Nice to know they got some spam filters built in. Trash. Dope. It looks like they really focus on clearing things out. Everything is pretty cool. All the email you've sent or received. I like that too. I use that every once in a while with Gmail. Search. So if I'm in search, down, oh. So if I'm in the search menu, I can hit up and down to navigate through the UI. Can I hit enter and open? Dope. So search, hey, third email, hit enter. Oh, hitting enter doesn't open that contact, but it does open the email. How can I get it to open the contact? I thought I had them added as a contact. The hey team. Search, hey.com. No, doesn't work. Okay, well, there's that. Enter result. Cool. Let's go back to the inbox with 1. This is cool. So something I'm used to with Gmail is using J and K to navigate up and down email threads. That way I can just quickly navigate through things and mark them off to delete, archive, whatever. Looks like that's here for Hey as well. I can use J and K to go up and down within my email thread. Oh, cool. All right, I can go up and down not only in previously seen, but in the reply later and the set aside. So if I use K, I'll go up. Let me hit enter. Cool, so I'm gonna just like literally take the mouse and put it over here so you can see I'm not using the mouse. I'm gonna use 1 to go inbox. I'm gonna use J to go down, select this reply later. Dope. Yeah, this is cool. It's very much keyboard centric, keyboard focused. I like that. All right, I wanna try something that I was thinking about where I can set client emails off to the side as reference and also open the reply later at the same time. If I can do that, that's gonna be a game changer for me. More often than not with Gmail, I have to open up tabs and put the windows side by side. So let's open the reply later with just the keyboard shortcuts. Now that I've got reply later, I don't have UI for set aside. Doesn't look like I can open the focus and reply thing and the set aside content at the same time. That would be awesome and something I would use consistently with this, because I would literally just go through the keyboard shortcut and say set aside, reply later, set aside, reply later. And then I would treat the set aside emails as reference, set the reply later right there and just start replying to the emails. I would love that. I would love that. So maybe a possibility they'll bring back in the future. Let's get the mouse back in play. Okay, interesting. So now I got my head wrapped around this. You can use J, K, and L to navigate up and down emails, X to select that singular email and open the actions menu. I can hit the keyboard shortcut for any of these action items and immediately act on them. Or if I want, I can hit semicolon. And once I hit semicolon, I can use my arrows on my keyboard to go left and right between them. I probably won't do that. I'll probably use the keyboard shortcuts just because I like how fast keyboard shortcuts are when done properly. But I do like that I can select multiple different things together and get this flow going. It's kind of funny though, I can open up this actions menu, select all these emails, and then hit H. So now I have all these overlapping UIs. Small bug, small consideration, but it still works. It's pretty cool. Let me unselect all these. I'm gonna mark all these emails as red. Sticky, okay. What the heck does sticky do? I like the sticky note. Isn't annoying to dig through email for a confirmation number. Just highlight text to save it to your clips. Ooh, okay, cool. Let's highlight the screener text. How do I clip something? I don't understand. Isn't it annoying with hey, just highlight text to save it to your clip so you never have to dig again? How do I clip? What the heck? I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, that's support. All right, I don't know how to clip, but it looks like you can clip. I feel like I missed that. All right, so I took a deeper dive and look into Hey and what I thought about the service, and overall, I'm impressed. I genuinely thought it was gonna be more of a gimmicky system, and I think the struggle people are gonna have is that it's not email in the way you know it. It's a different way of thinking of email, where normal email systems I feel like I'm fighting with to get what I want. This email system feels closer to how I think and how I go about my email. I'm not the type of person to have 25,000 unread emails in my email. If there's a company that's constantly emailing me and I don't read anything from them, I just unsubscribe from the list. Hey really feels like it's a system built in a way that I can easily go about that as well. There's a couple other things I really like that they have. The two biggest ones being two-factor authentication, like day one, they want you to be secure. And two, they have this system where they can tell you when somebody's using a tracking pixel to see if you've opened the email or not. When I used to be a tech journalist, that was probably one of the most annoying things, is because the way I used my email, I would just quickly go through every email by hitting J on the keyboard or K. And when I did that, it would open the email. If the person had a tracking pixel on, it would automatically tell the original sender that I opened the email. I hate those pixels because all it does is says that I've opened an email. It doesn't say that I've read it. And 90% of the time, I didn't read it because I had too much going on. I don't want anybody to be able to see what I have or haven't seen in my emails because it's such a personal thing that I do. Honestly, small feature, I love it, definitely into it. It's also making me rethink how I do some of my own newsletters. I want to start looking for services that don't use tracking pixels. So if you got any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Overall, I'm impressed. I'm gonna continue to use Hey during the 14-day trial and see how I feel about it. It's 99 bucks for a full year. To be honest, the level at which I use email, 99 bucks isn't bad. It's a price that I'm willing to pay because I have such a workflow built into everything that if I can make anything even a little bit easier, it would make managing everything I have even better. Initially, before I started recording this video, I thought I was only gonna look at using Hey for personal reasons, but now I'm starting to think that maybe I can even move into using it full-time for my business as well. There's a couple other things I have to worry about, but that's what I'll get to in the future. Right now, I'm really impressed with Hey. I'm gonna keep using it through the 14-day trial and see how I feel. But those are my first impressions. But let me know, do you like Hey? Have you tried it out? Do you have any questions? Feel free to ask me. I don't have any invite codes right now at the time of recording this video. If I get any invite codes, I'll let you know and I'll share it with you. I'll throw them in the comments down below, first come, first serve type of thing. Hit me up on Twitter, Greg Barbosa. Feel free to leave me a comment here. I'll reply to you. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, let me know and subscribe. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Or maybe I should say, hey? No, that was too cheesy. All right, bye.